Hey everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again with another news update. We've got 4 big pieces of news today. We're going to talk a little bit about Ronda Rousey, a little bit about Daniel Bryan, a little bit about Bray Wyatt, who has of course been deleted, and some news about The Rock as well. I'll just spoil it straight away. He's bought his dad a new truck, so look out for that at the end of the video when we cover the story of The Rock buying his dad a new truck. Let's get right into it with all the biggest news from today in the world of wrestling. First of all, Ronda Rousey, you may or may not have seen, appeared after Raw in a dark segment where she took to the ring, she was going to cut a promo, and then got immediately cut off by Dana Brooke, who came out and basically said, look, you can't come in here and skip straight to the head of the line, you can't be getting these big matches. I think you should have to start at the back of the line, and I can't wait until Stephanie McMahon makes you her property at WrestleMania 34. Wow. Quite a strong statement there from Dana. Rousey, of course, didn't take too kindly to this, and Dana went to hit her, and she did like a martial arts block. And then Dana did what everyone seems to do now when they're confronted by Rousey, where they freeze in terror, and then they start to run away, and then Rousey holds onto their arm, and they're like, oh no, oh, what's gonna happen? And then what happened was a suplex of sorts, I think. I think it was a bit of a suplex. That's what I'm gonna call it. It was, yeah, well, it was a suplex. She kind of grabbed her and chucked her overhead, kind of, but then Dana either rotated wrong or Rousey did it a bit strange, or maybe it was just a different suplex that I've never seen before, but Dana landed on her front, perilously close to a microphone that had been just discarded on the canvas. It looked like her face might have hit it, but I don't know if it actually did, and she rolled out the ring, and then Rousey's music played again, and she kind of smiled and was like, yeah, I'm Ronda Rousey, I'm better than you, Dana Brooke, which, I know, we all knew that she's stronger in kayfabe than Dana Brooke, and, I mean, I think the segment served its purpose, really. I can't see any issues with it. The crowd would have been excited to see Rousey live, but I can also see why this wasn't included on the proper broadcast. It didn't really add anything too much to the WrestleMania feud. It was very much a dark segment. Next up, let's talk about Daniel Bryan, because on last night's Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said that tonight, SmackDown Live, we'll find out if there's any truth to these rumors and reports that Bryan could be involved in some way in a match at WrestleMania 34. He's probably going to be involved, everyone thinks, in the feud between Shane, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, if he is to be involved at all, that is. Bryan has spoke openly in recent interviews about how he wants to compete at WrestleMania and how he's more confident about being cleared than he was previously, but that's all relative and he still doesn't feel like it's too likely. But if he is, then yeah, he'll probably be inserted into that feud, won't he? Because he and Shane have been in that weird passive-aggressive feud that's really kind of stunted and held back the booking on SmackDown for a long time now. It's kind of diluted AJ's title reign a little bit. It's made Owens and Zayn look like idiots a lot of the time, or like they've been treated unfairly by the babyface commissioner Shane. So why would the babyface commissioner be treating these heels unfairly to give us sympathy? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Maybe Shane's going to turn heel. He is, after all, a McMahon. Maybe they're going to turn Owens and Zayn face, although to be honest, I don't really know what they're going to do with this storyline, but the main point of this news story is that we'll find out tonight whether Daniel Bryan will be involved, according at least to big old David Meltzer. Thirdly, you may have seen yesterday on Monday Night Raw that we had the ultimate deletion, the first proper kind of Impact Wrestling style, Matt Hardy, crazy broken universe type thing to be held at the Hardy compound in North Carolina, and it was every bit as kooky and strange as we thought it would be. Although maybe not quite as kooky and strange as those ones in Impact. It seemed like there was a lot more free reign in those ones. This one was a little bit less silly, still very silly indeed, still caused the mixed reaction online that you'd expect. But the key point here is that right at the end, after he'd won, Matt Hardy pushed Bray Wyatt into the lake of Reincarnation. And as we've seen, that brings back old gimmicks from time gone by. So like Jeff Hardy would come out as Itchweed, the guy who he used to, or like the Willow, you remember these old gimmicks that he used to do sometimes in Impact? Willow especially was the one that he came out of the Lake of Reincarnation as. Shane Helms fell in there, came out as the Hurricane. So everyone's naturally thinking, well, Bray Wyatt's gone in there. Is he going to come back as Husky Harris? Which would be an interesting decision to say the least. Personally, I hope this isn't the case. I don't think Wyatt would benefit from stripping away all his mystique and putting him back to his like NXT gimmick when he was in the Nexus. Husky Harris was not really as big a character or a persona as Bray Wyatt at all. I hope that he goes back to his later gimmick in NXT where he was kind of the Bray Wyatt we know now, but simplified a lot. Without all the cult leader stuff around him, he was simply more of a creepy man from the bayou, from the backwoods, and it was very effective indeed. And then slowly, as he got onto the main roster and started losing more and more feuds, everyone kind of took the shtick less seriously, especially when he started, getting the Wyatt family around him, who then he didn't seem to have too much control over. Randy Orton made him look like a bit of a chump, and it just hasn't worked out too well for him. But if he strips back and goes back to that weird bayou character, I think that could really help save his career. At the same time, Husky Harris would be really funny, wouldn't it? Probably would be quite a good laugh. And finally, the news we've all been waiting for since I mentioned it at the start of the video, The Rock has bought his dad a new truck. While we were looking for news before, Pacini or Ross said to me, The Rock's bought his dad a new truck. And here we go. I can confirm via The Rock's Instagram that the truck he bought his dad was a Chevrolet, lovely stuff. And I think the most important piece of news to take away from this is that Rocky Johnson refers to his son, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, one of the most famous men in Hollywood and in the world. He refers to him as Mr. D. He calls his own son Mr. D, which that's fine, The Rock's name begins with a D, Dwayne. Mr. D. Mr. D. I guess stay tuned for more updates on, all the news stories in the world of wrestling, but also any updates on Mr. D and what he's doing, any more vehicles he's buying for family members or loved ones. Mr. D. I can't get over it. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. Thank you very much for watching this news update. You can follow me on Twitter at JackTheJobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic. And don't forget as well, if you want, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And one more thing, never ever forget, of course, to join us.